Os. Welcome UNLV students to the Shotokan Karate Studies program. By now you should know you've already warmed up, you've gotten the warm-up that you feel your body needs, you're adequate for starting the program this morning. So let's go ahead and get started with our typical, quick, general warm-up. Ready? And Hajime. Ichi. Ni. San. Yon. Go. Alright, warmed up good there. Let's turn to the side, bring our heels to our glutes. Good, alright. Let's go ahead and do some high knees as well. Get my workout recorded. Here we go. High knees. You can do this slow, just like I'm doing. Again, just bringing your knees up. You can do it fast if you feel like kind of bouncing a little bit, working your calves a little bit. Or if you want to go slow, go slow. And yame. All right, let's come up on our toes, stretching out our calves. And yame. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and do some body hip twists. And yame. Good. Arm up across the side, stretching out our shoulder. Good, other side. Again, don't hold these too long. Just doing dynamic stretches here. Nothing too static, nothing being held for too long. Switching over. Other side. Good. Feet just widen shoulder width. Go down, touch the floor. Go to the right. Back to center. Go to the left. Back to center. All right, make that a little wider. We're gonna go down to the right, turning up on our left heel, stretching out our hamstring. Good, now we're gonna turn to the left in a long front stance. Pushing on the quad here, pushing the knee over the toe. And now to a runner stand, or a runner stretch. Good. Back up. All right, we're gonna do everything to the other side now. Leaning to the left onto the right heel. Toes pointed up. Stretching out your hamstring. All right, let's rotate that all the way around. Good front stance, long, deep, pushing on the quad, pushing the knee out over the toe, getting a good stretch. Transition that into a runner stretch. And come back to center, come back standing. Good. Turn around, fix your gi. Back to me. Yoi. Subirachi. Free. Yoi. Seiza. Dojo-kun. 一つ人格完成に人を盛ること。一つ誠の道を守ること。一つと力の精神を養うこと。一つ礼儀を重んずること。一つ景気の湯を戒めること。Ready? That's it. よい。しばらくち。Ready? よい。So in today's class, we're going to be doing a beginner class. In this beginner class, we're going to cover the Takioku katas. All right. So I've been somewhat remiss in not teaching those earlier than now. Right, because these katas are taught way before you learn hand Shodan, they're taught way before you learn hand Nidan. Now, one that we'll go through, Takioku Sandan, is taught at around the orange to green belt level, so that's kind of on par. However, we haven't gone over Takioku Shodan, and we haven't gone over Takioku Nidan, so I just want to take time in this class to go over those katas, and we'll also go over and then perform hand Shodan and hand Nidan. Because again, as a beginner, probably around the yellow belt to orange belt level, this is where you should be. All right, you should be performing these katas regularly on a regular basis, as many times as you come out to practice your karate skills. These should be the kata that you're performing. Okay, again, Takioku Shodan, Takioku Nidan, Takioku Sandan. You should be learning if you haven't already learned it, and then hand Shodan and hand Nidan. Okay. And then I also want to touch on two different variations for Takioku Nidan, okay? Because it's taught two different ways. I can show you the way that I learned it and the traditional way. There's not a huge difference in the two, but there is a slight difference in the way that I sometimes tend to teach my students because it was the way that it was passed down to me. So again, it's just one of those things that both are perfectly acceptable, especially in my dojo. But I want to show you the variation so that you understand what the difference in the two is. Okay? Alright, so all that said, let's go ahead and perform Takioku Shodan. So again, you probably already know this. Again, this is a beginner class, but it is for yellow to orange belt students. So if you've got a yellow belt around your waist, if you have a white belt around your waist, this should be a good class for you. If you're already green belt, you're probably getting a little bit too advanced for this, but again, a good class to come back and practice and make sure that you have these skills down really well, okay? So we're gonna get in some good practice today and perform all these kata 1 to 2, maybe 3 times if we have the time for it, okay? Okay, so let's go do Takioku Shodan. Okay, so this is our first Kihon kata. All right, the Takioku katas or Kihon katas, our Heian katas are our traditional katas. They are different. The Kihon katas are exactly what they say. It's basically practicing 1, maybe 2 Kihon techniques, maybe 3, whereas the Heian katas get into a variety of Kihon techniques that you're stringing together. Okay, the Takiokus focus on 1 to 2, maybe 3 different Kihon techniques at once. Okay, so again, that's what we're doing here with these Takioku katas. I'll perform this twice. All right, I'll perform it back here, starting here, and then I'll perform it over here on this side, just to give you 2 perspectives so that you can make sure that you're seeing the kata from 2 different angles. Takioku Shodan is extremely built upon Heian Shodan, obviously, first katas. So you'll see the difference here with Takioku Shodan. So let's go ahead and perform the kata. All right. Protocol is the same, so you go through all the same things from Uedachi, Subidachi, ready, back to Yoi, your ready position. Announce Kata, the same, Takioku Shorai. And again, everything that you do for a traditional Kata, you would do here. So be very, emotive. Your techniques should again have power and convey, that you are striking. All right, ready? And Hajime. So if you perform that right along with me, you should finish right around the same time that I do. And again, you can see it's a very basic kata. The only thing we're doing is front stance, get him right down block, and Chudan Oizuki punch. Okay, that's all you're doing. What you are also doing is a couple of turns that are very important in hand Shodan. Now hand Shodan introduces a lot of other things. Right, you start introducing Ageuke rising block. You introduce a Tetsuyuchi, right, this hammer fist. You introduce the 4 Shuto Ukes. Okay, so there's a lot that gets introduced when you step up to hand Shodan, which is why Takioku Shodan again is a Kihon kata, where all you're doing is the basics. You're doing a front stance, right? You're doing Chudan Oizuki, and you're doing get him right down block. Okay, so let's do it again. I'll give you another perspective. Do this with me. Again, like I said, beginner class, you're probably wearing a white belt, or an orange belt, a yellow belt, so you should be able to perform all these kata right along with me. Ready? So, protocol again. Uedachi, Subidachi, right? Yoi. And now it's kata. Takioku Shodan. And Hajime. Few seconds for you to finish. And Yame, good. All right, so again, there's 2 perspectives that you can kind of come back to and take a look at if you're still having trouble, if you're still learning the kata. So let's go ahead and move on to Takioku Nidan. All right, so Takioku Nidan, extremely similar to Takioku Shodan, right? Do you know the difference? Jodan level punches, correct. Okay, so Jodan level punches is the difference for Takioku Nidan. So let's perform this kata, okay, and then I'm going to show you the variation that I tend to teach in my dojo. All right, so Takioku Nidan, again, both perfectly acceptable here. So let's go ahead and do the kata again from here, and then I'll move to that location there. All right, ready? Yoi. Subidachi, ready? Yoi. And now it's kata, Takioku Nidan, and Hajime. few seconds for you to finish. And yame. Good. Okay, so again, only difference that we're showing there is a Shotokan level punch, right? So instead of punching to the chest or the sternum, you're punching to the face. That doesn't look a lot different, right? Chudan, Jodan. Chudan, Jodan. It's not a huge difference, right? You're looking at 6 to maybe 9, 10 inches of difference in height of where you're punching. Chudan, Jodan, okay? Again, maybe 8, 10 at the most, okay? So, that's the traditional way that it's usually taught. Let's do that one more time, okay? And then a couple things to focus on, right? You're still beginners and you're still learning foot movement and placement, all right? Good front stance, okay? And as you move, try not to telegraph at this front foot, okay? Sink in and transfer your weight, okay? Sink in and transfer your weight. What I'm looking for you to not do is, as you move forward, pivot that foot out, and then step, and then pivot that foot out, and then step, all right? I've talked about this in previous classes, and what you're doing there is telegraphing, number one. But number two, you're not adhering to the proper way to move, okay? So a lot of people would say, well, you're telegraphing your movement, and I can see that you're getting ready to step forward. Yes, that's absolutely true, but more importantly, you're moving away from Shotokan karate. You're moving away from the way you should be moving in your stance, right? You should be moving by, again, transferring your weight. Okay, it's not really about stepping and preparing to step and getting ready to step, right? You're not, okay, I'm gonna move forward. This foot's not gonna be my back foot, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it ready to be my back foot by turning it out and stepping forward. Then I didn't have to do anything. That's not the way you're supposed to step, right? You're supposed to glide, right? So from here, you're just transferring that weight. Transfer forward, then turn the foot, or don't, right? As you become more and more advanced, this back foot is going to be more forward facing, okay? Instead of it being more turned out, like a lot of students in the beginning are, which is okay, you tend to start to straighten that foot out and widen your stance, all right? So just think about that and be aware of that as you move through this. Go through this once or twice and concentrate on that front foot not turning. You don't even have to do the moves if you don't want to. You can just step through, sing just out your front stance. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Let's go through the entire kata. There's no hand and arm movement. Focus on not telegraphing or not turning that front foot out, okay? I'll go through it here, and then I'll go through Takioku Niran again here, and then I'm going to show you the difference between the two that I teach. All right, so let's come back here. Here's the good thing. This is the same footwork for Heian, or for Takioku Shodan, as it is for Takioku Niran. Okay, Heian Shodan, there is a difference, right? We stop into a fudo-dachi for this hammer strike, and then at the end, all right, we're doing 4 shuto-ukes in a back stance. So footwork is not exactly the same. Pattern is not exactly the same. For 3/4 of it, yes, it is. But there is a difference at the end of Heian Shodan, so don't get stuck on that. All right, so again, Takioku Shodan from here. No hand movements. Put our hands on our hips. All right, we're not performing the kata, so we don't need to announce the kata. Let's just begin and then go through the footwork for the kata. Ready? Hajime. Peace. So again, not as much protocol, right? We're not going through the actual kata, we're just stepping through the kata, so don't worry about that as much. But again, keep in mind and try to focus on not moving that front foot out with every step. And carry that through every kata that you do. Heian Shodan, Heian Nidan. Every kata that you do, that you step in a front stance, try not to turn that foot out, all right? It's very important. It makes you look like more of a beginner when you do that, okay? So someone that's just watching your kata regardless of what belt you have. So typically in some competitions, so that people don't know your rank, you'll be wearing you'll be wearing a blue belt or a red belt. It's just typically what they would do. That way people don't know your rank. And typically if you have some kind of engraving on your belt, my name, then they don't know your name, okay? So again, it's just a way of keeping anonymity and equalness and fairness in a kata or in a competition. So again, as you step, if you're doing this, judges tend to notice and say, okay, they're not as advanced, they don't have the skills typically, and maybe they're going to count off for that, right? That could be 1/10 of a point every time you're stepping. All right, so let's go ahead and do Takiyoku Nidan properly. Okay, so again, just giving you another perspective to do this kata. Remember, Jodan level punches, okay? Don't telegraph with your feet. Ready? And go through protocol together. Yoi, Sudachi, right? Yoi, Takiyoku Nidan, and Ajime. Please. All right, very good. So again, the only difference in Takiyoku Shodan versus Takiyoku Nidan is Chudan versus Jodan level punch. All right. So now I'm going to go through the kata how I typically teach it in my dojo. After I do it, I'm going to tell you why. Okay. So let's go ahead and do Takiyoku Nidan. All right, the way that I typically teach it in my dojo, and I'll tell you the difference, and that way maybe you can do it along with me if you're not already one of my students. Takiyoku Nidan, I teach Ageuke on the way up, right? So for section 2, Takiyoku, I teach Ageuke, okay, so rising block. Everything else is the same. Everything else is the same, okay? The only thing I do different is I teach Ageuke on the way up. Okay, so why do I do that? Why do I teach it that way? Well, number one, again, it was taught to me that way. But number two, once you've already learned Takiyoku Shodan, you got the footwork down pretty much for Heian Shodan. Doing Takiyoku Nidan, the only difference is a Jodan level punch, right? You're not really learning too much new there. You're doing the exact same footwork, the only difference being a higher punch. And you don't use this higher punch in other kata. So, Ageuke rising block is added in because again it's a stepping stone to get you towards Heian Shodan, a better Heian Shodan. Because again you're practicing that rising block. Like I said before, you're only, a Kihon kata, you're only introducing 1, 2, 3 Kihon techniques, right? So for Takiyoku Nidan, you're still doing front stance, which we did in Takiyoku Shodan. You're still doing Gedan Barai down block, and you're still doing a punch. So the only thing we're adding is one element, which is Ageuke rising block. And you're still doing Jodan punches. You're still doing the front stances. All right. You're still doing Gedan Barai down block. And just adding one additional element that again helps you to absorb what you need to as you move towards Heian Shodan. Okay. All right, so let's do Takioku Nidan, but the way that I typically teach my students in my dojo. Only difference, section 2, Age-Uke rising block. Okay, ready? Yoi, Subidachi, ready? Yoi. Now it's Kata, Takioku Nidan, and Hajime. Peace. Give me a few seconds, my apologies. And Yame. Okay, so again, fairly straightforward. The only difference being this second section here is Age-Uke rising block. All right, so let's do it again. Let's get the practice in, right? That's what this class is all about. So let's do it again, get that practice in, okay? Then we're gonna go ahead and perform Heian Shodan before we get into Takioku Sanga, okay? All right, so again, we're doing it the way that I teach it. Age-Uke rising block for the center section, section 2. Ready? Udachi, Subidachi, ready? Yo. Takioku Nidan. And Hajime. Peace. And Yame. Good. Okay. So again, Takioku Nidan, traditional, or the way that I teach it. Only difference is that center section, section 2, we do Age-Uke instead of Jodan level punches. Both are perfectly acceptable in my dojo. So if you were to take an exam and I said, show me Takioku Nidan, both forms of the kata would be perfectly acceptable. All right. I may even ask you a question about it. I may say, okay, I see you perform Takioku Nidan using Age-Uke rising block. Can you tell me another form of Takioku Nidan? You would explain the difference, and we move on from there. Okay? All right, so let's do Heian Shodan. Okay? No changes, right? No differences here. Just perform Heian Shodan the way you would typically perform Heian Shodan for a competition, for an exam, whatever. All right, I'm not going to narrate. All right, I'm not going to go by the numbers. Again, if you're wearing a white belt or a yellow belt, or an orange belt, you should know this kata. All right, Heian Shodan. Ready? All right, let's go through protocol together. Udachi, Subidachi, ready? Yo. And now it's Kata. Heian Shodan. And Hajime. Very good. Yame? All right. All right, so a couple things get introduced here in this kata, right? From the Takioku katas to Heian Shodan. All right, you're introducing the Tetsuiuchi and a Furudachi. Okay? You're introducing the Ageuki rising block if you don't learn Takioku Nidan the way that I teach it. So you're learning Ageuki rising block as part of the kata. Everything else is the same, right? Your Chudan level. As you come back, your Chudan level for your punches. New thing added, Shutouke and a Kakutsudachi back stance. Right, so you're doing that knife hand block and a back stance. Okay. While we're here, let's talk about Shutouke. All right, so Shutouke, I get a lot of students at the beginning that are very awkward with their Shutoukes. All right, so let's go through the basics of Shutouke. Number one is your stance, your back stance. Okay, that front foot should be out in front. Your back leg is where should be at a 90-degree angle. So if you brought your heels together, it would be the corner of a square. Okay, again, you just drag that foot back. It's a 90-degree angle. Push that foot back forward. Okay, and again, you're resting your weight. A lot of your weight, I would say 70% of your weight is on your back leg. All right, so it is as if there's a stool sitting under this butt cheek. All right, you're just kind of leaning on this stool. Again, most of your weight is here, which is why the stool would be here, which is why you're resting your weight on this stool. Okay, that's what your back stance should look like. Okay, now your Shutouke. Let's focus on your Hikite hand. Your Hikite hand should be at your sternum, right here. The Hikite hand should be flat. It's not a fist. Hikite hand right here at your sternum, right under this pectoral muscle. All right. Your body, your front hand, okay, is this as if you're able to, there's a door here, and you're just slapping that door closed or open, right? There's a door that's sitting here, and it swings this way. And you're just slapping that door to either send it that way, right? Send it closed or send it open. You're just slapping that door. Your hand slaps that door on the way by. All right? Hand position. Okay? Your fingers should be the same height as your shoulder. It can be slightly higher or slightly lower, but your fingertips should be right about the height of your shoulder. Distance is going to make the difference in the awkwardness of how this looks. Okay? My hand is still the height of my shoulder here. But this is a very awkward looking Shutouke. Would you agree? Okay, so let's move it out. Get some angle in this arm. Okay, maybe about a 90 degree. Okay, so if it's here, this is 90 degrees, right? Now I'm just going to raise it to the height of my shoulder here, and then step into a back stance. Now, if you want it to feel more natural, just let it loosen up. Let it feel a little bit more natural. And then lock it in again. Okay? Everyone's built differently. So, your Shutouke may look different than mine. Mine may look different than the person standing next to you and all the way around. Right? Theirs may look different than yours. Okay? That's all right. But what I don't want you to do is look awkward or tight. Okay? Like you're bound up. I don't like these Shutoukes, okay? It's too tight. Loosen up, get into it, stretch your body out, check your stance, Hikite hand in place, other arm, again, your hand shouldn't be out, shouldn't be in. If you want it to be something like this, that's fine. But I typically tell people that, or my students especially, that their fingertips should line up at their shoulder, the top of their shoulder, and your arm should be at approximately 90 degrees, approximately, okay, approximately for everything. Your fingertips, approximately the height of your shoulder. Your arm angle here, approximately 90 degrees. Don't lock into a position thinking, oh, this is 90 degrees, this is exactly here. You're not a robot, okay? I'm not teaching robots to do Shotokan karate. Okay, yes, then I would program it in to say, okay, 90 degrees is exactly this height, and then that program goes to this one, and that program goes to this one. When they all do it, it looks exactly the same. That's not what we're doing. Okay, so just remember, loosen up, take a breath. He can take hand right here. Other arm can go out. Relax. Okay? Other side, exactly the same way. If you want to start out slow, okay, 90 degrees here is my arm. I'm just going to rotate that up. I'm going to step this foot out, turning the back foot. This hand comes to hikite, relax, and lock it in. Now get there again. Okay? Same thing with the other side. Okay? Once you feel comfortable in a good stance, once you feel comfortable with your Kihon technique, do it. Slap that door closed. All right? So again, just a little bit of insight into Shotokan, because again, like I said, a lot of my students have some trouble getting into that Shotokan and it not looking or feeling awkward. So again, I'm trying to give you as many pointers as I can so that you can fix yours and feel good about it. Okay, so let's do hand Shotokan. Ready? We already did it here. So let's do it again here, just to give you another perspective. Then we'll go into Takioku Sandan, and we'll go through Heian Nidan. Ready? Yoi, Subarachi, right? Yoi. And now it's Kata. Heian Shotokan. And Hajime. And Yame, Os. Very good. One more thing I want to address before we leave hand Shotokan is the 3 Jodan level punches. I would call it section 4 of the Kata, right before you spin into your Shotokan. A lot of people ask me about timing here. Okay, yes, you can do 1, 2, 3. That's perfectly fine. As you get more advanced, you're going to get into a different set of timing where it goes 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the timing is punch, 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 which is typically why you see me do this kata. We start here. All right, so we've done section 1, 2, and 3. All right, we're getting ready to start section 4. So you start from the gedan, and I typically do this as 1, 2, 3. Okay. If you would like to try to incorporate that, that's perfectly acceptable. All right. It just shows a higher level of skill, and that's typically how the kata is performed at a higher level. So I would say orange, green belt, and above. Right. You're kind of getting into tweaking that timing just a little bit. Okay. So just wanted to put that out there because I do get questions on that. Why do you do those 3 punches in that specific timing as opposed to 1, 2, 3? Okay, that's why. All right, let's go ahead and touch on Takioku Sandan. Takioku Sandan may be new for some of you, so let's go through it. What we're doing here, we're introducing uchiuke and a back stance. Okay, so there's something new, right? Because we're moving into a back stance at the beginning. Uchiuke is your block. Again, all of our kata start with a block. So you turn uchiuke. Your punch is Jodan level. So now you're pulling from Takioku Nidan. Okay? So your punches are Jodan level punches. The only difference is you're doing, instead of Gedan right down block, you're doing Uchi-uke, and you're doing it in a back stance. Okay? So now, a couple of new things. All right? So let's talk about this as you start. Uchi-uke, in a back stance. Jodan level punch. So you're now transitioning from a back stance into a front stance. There's a lot of power in this transition. Okay? From back stance, you're pushing off this back leg where all of your weight is. You're loaded back here. Release that moving forward for that Jodan punch. All right? Then you're turning back into the Uchi-uke again, not Gedan. Again, something that you may feel differently about. Okay, but again, that's what we're learning here in this kata. Instead of the Gedan Barai down blocks, you're doing this Uchi-uke middle inside out block. Okay, punch, turn, back stance, Uchi-uke, Jodan level punch. Okay, when you turn here, you're not doing Uchi-uke, you're doing Gedan, and then you're doing the Jodan level punches. So from here, it looks like Takioku Nidan. Gedan right down block, 3 Jodan level punches. Except when you get to section 3. When you spin and turn, Uchi-uke. Just like section 1. Uchi-uke, Jodan level punch. Turning back, Uchi-uke, Jodan level punch. Coming back down the center, you repeat what you started here at 2. Gedan right down block, 3 Jodan level punches. Right? And then section 1 and section 4 are the same. Uchi-uke, Oizuki punch, turn back, Uchi-uke, Jodan level punch. And that's Takioku Sandan. So I know that if you're wearing a white belt, probably don't know that kata yet. If you're wearing a yellow belt, you may be learning it, but probably don't know it. Orange belt, you're probably learning it if you don't already know it. All right? So that's why I kind of want to give you a quick high level of how to go through that kata. All right? So if you're wearing a white belt, good introduction. All right? If you're wearing a yellow belt, good practice. If you're wearing an orange belt, good practice. Okay? So let's go through this kata. Again, I've just explained exactly how to do it. So I'm going to go slow. I'm going to narrate this kata. All right, so because for a lot of you, this may be the first time you're doing it. So I'm going to narrate the kata. Uchi-uke, Jodan level punch. Uchi-uke, Jodan level punch. I'm not going to narrate the turns because the pattern is the same. We're doing the same pattern for Takioku Shodan, Takioku Nidan, and Takioku Sandan. Same pattern. You should know the pattern. All right, so I'm just going to talk us through the technique. Okay? All right, let's start here. Yoi. Subirachi, right? Yoi. And now it's kata. Takioku Sandan. And Hajime. Uchi-uke. Jodan level punch. Uchi-uke. Jodan level punch. Gedan right down block. Jodan level punches. 3. Ready? Ichi. Ni. Son. All right. Uchi-uke. Jodan level punch. Uchi-uke. Jodan level punch. Gedan right down block. Jodan level punch times 3. Ready? Ichi. Ni. Son. Oi. Uchi-uke. Jodan level punch. Uchi-uke. Jodan level punch. And back to yoi. Subirachi. Right? Yoi. And yame. Okay? That's Takioku Sandan. Alright, if it's your first time, congratulations. If it's multiple for you, good job getting through the kata. Hone some of those skills. All right, what are the skills that we're honing here? We're honing transitioning between your stances, right? Transitioning from this back stance to a front stance, and then from a front stance to a back stance, turning 180 degrees, okay? So these are very important skills that you're learning with these Takioku katas, these Kihon katas, all right, that you may not be thinking about. All you're really thinking about is the upper body technique. You're thinking about, okay, uchi-uke, and then we're doing jodan punches. I get it. But really, it's about below the waist. It's about transitioning from this back stance. It's about being in a back stance. Transitioning to that front stance and still being able to come back and turn 180 degrees in this Kakutsudachi back stance. And again, power coming from that back stance and transitioning to that front stance. All right, let's do it again. Takioku Sandan. I'm not going to walk us through it. All right, I'll go by the numbers this time. No narration, by the numbers. Then we'll do it one last time, where we'll go through the entire thing on your own. Okay? Ready? By the numbers this time, so listen to my count. Ready? Yoi, Surachi, right? Yoi. And now it's Kata. Takioku Sandan. And Hajime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, go! 1, 2, 3, はい1、2、3、4、よい、スラッチ、レイ、よい、and やめ。All right, very good. So there's the Kata Takioku Sandan. All right, by the numbers. You heard me going through it, counting through it. Okay, feels very similar to all the other Takioku katas. Right, the only difference is those few things. All right, you're still doing jodan punches, so you're still used to Takioku Nidan. Right, jodan punches. The only thing is a change to introducing and using that uchi-uke in a back stance. All right, let's go through it one more time. Again, your own speed and pace at this point. Okay, so I'll give you time at the end. Go through it as slow as you need to get through the kata. Ready? All right, yoi, Masubadachi, ready? Yoi. Takioku Sandan. And Hajime. And yame. Os. Okay. Very good. All right. So another thing I want to touch on. I talked about moving your front foot, telegraphing in front stance. Same goes for telegraphing in back stance. Right. We've done uchi-uke, and now you're going to do this jodan level punch. Don't do this. Again, transition your weight. Don't pop this foot to the left to prepare your front stance for that jodan punch. Back stance, transition your weight. Okay, you're in back stance, all your weight's here. Transition it forwards, twist the hip. Hip twist turns this back foot. Power comes with that punch. The hip twist drives. Okay? Think about that. As you're in this back stance, don't get lazy and turn the foot and then step. Don't get lazy and do that. All right, I noticed it a couple times that I did it myself. All right, so concentrate on that and think about it. Back stance, transition, step, hip twist. That's what turns this back foot. Don't turn it early. Back stance. Try your best not to do that, okay? I slip all the time because it wasn't driven into my head and I want to drive it into yours at this early stage. Don't telegraph with that front foot. Back stance, shift, turn. All right, just watch this foot. Just watch my left leg. Back stance, transition, front stance, then it turns. Okay? And that's how it works for the entire kata. You're only in this back stance. Right? When you're in this back stance, right? Again, the front foot, because you turn here, correct? Go down a punch. You're in the back stance here. Don't turn this foot. Don't do this before you step. Okay, again, this is your back stance. Transition, turn. Drive that shoulder, drive that punch. Okay? All right, that's a key point. And again, it's like I said, it's one that I tend to fail on as well. So I want to drive it into your head as early as possible so that you're focused on it and it becomes one of these things that is just muscle memory. And you just don't do it because you've been practicing this way for so long. Just don't do it. All right. Let's finish up with Heian Nidan today. All right, again, white belts is going to be something you may struggle through. Yellow belts, you're learning this kata. Orange belts, you know this kata. All right, white belts, do your best here or perform Heian Shodan or any of the Takeoku katas that we've done up to this point. Right now, we're all going to do Heian Nidan and we're going to do it twice. We're going to do it here and again here because I want to drive a couple of things in. I know I did this back in class 8, okay, so this is a while back when I taught you how to do this kata. Just a couple of key points again I just want to touch on. A couple of what I call very fine details. So we'll touch on those when we get there. Right now let's perform the kata. Heian Nidan. Ready? Your own speed and pace, okay? We're not learning the kata at this point, so like I said, white belts, you can either keep up, you can watch, or you can perform another kata. Yellow belts, orange belts, keep up. Ready? Yoi, Sugarachi, ring. Yoi. And now it's kata. Heian Nidan. Gonna step forward, make sure I have room for my kick. Ready? And Hajime. Seconds for you, Yame. Very good. All right, so I went through that pretty quickly. All right, you may not be going through it as quickly as I just did. That's okay. Let's talk about a couple quick things before we do it again. Maybe you can fine tune some of these things. For this kata, the beginning, there's not much that's nuanced here. Again, you know this bow block, okay? It's a window pane block. This arm is an ageuke, basically. All right, ageuke looks like this. Now you're turning sideways and bringing this arm up. Okay, don't overcomplicate it. All right, that's all it is. It's an ageuke. Now turn. Right? All right. You're doing the double punch, the tetsuyuchi, the knee tetsuyuchi, again here, which is this and this, which we've gone over the bunkai for. All right, so read into that as you will. You can go back to some previous classes where we talk about some bunkai there. If you're wondering, well, there's not a lot of power in this as opposed to this, go back to the bunkai and read some of the things that you can potentially be doing there. You turn, do the same thing, your back kick happens. Now you're moving in a forward direction with your 3 Shotoukes, which we talked about. Feel natural here. Don't feel tight. And move through it in an awkward pattern, right? Loosen up. Talk about the things that we talked about. Shoulder height, arm angle, okay? But feel comfortable. Shotoukes, nukite, turning. There are 4 Shotoukes again that you're very familiar with from hand Shodan. Okay, nothing new here. 4 Shotoukes. Then you make a turn. Your 4th Shutouke being about here. Then you come across with this Uchiuke. That's what it is. It's an Uchiuke. There's not a Washi Uchiuke, right? Which is the block that comes here. All right, that's your Mawashi Uchiuke. That's not what you're doing. It doesn't involve both hands. Shutouke, come across and block. And an Uchiuke. All right, all your techniques. All right, what I tell all of my students, all your techniques should be taking place in this space. Okay, it's like you're holding a basketball or a beach ball. It's about that big. All your techniques are happening within here. The actual block of an Uchiuke takes place about here, again within that beach ball, and you're deflecting it out there. But it's still within the frame of your body, so don't deflect way out here, okay? Don't deflect way out here and twist and torque your body here. All right? Same thing goes with like a Soto Uryuke. I know it's getting a little bit off topic, but there is where the block happens. Not out here, right in here. This is where I care about. This is where my body is. If you're going to punch me over there, I don't care. If you're going to punch me here, now it's out there. Everything that I'm concerned with is happening right in this area here. All right? So your deflections should lead in other directions. Get it out of my beach ball space. Okay? So, as you come across here with that Uchiuke, people tend to get lost with their hands. So your Shutos here, what you can think of is your opponent is coming straight to you here. They're punching. Slap the punch away, keep it in place with the block. Don't go out here with it, don't turn your body, and don't end out here. Here is where you're ending. Kick, punch, block, right? Kick, punch. With this Uchiuke block, this leg comes back to drive this block. Right? There's a little bit more power there when you think about it. Okay? Punch. Now, look at this block. Okay? Now look at this block. Which one looked more powerful? I'm hoping you said the second one because that one is more powerful. And it's because you're drawing that foot back just slightly from this punch, it gives that hip draw, power exudes into this block. Okay? So after this punch, don't just do this block and then repeat. Kick, punch, and then the Moroto Uke block, right? It is here, right? Kick, punch, watch this leg, block. All right, draw that right foot back slightly when you execute that uchi-uke. All right, so those are the only things I wanted to touch on. Those are the only nuanced things that I wanted to talk about. Although a lot of you tend to miss the last ki point because it's the end of the kata, right? Typically, a lot of our ki points are in the kata up to this point. Takiyoku, Shodan, Nidan, and Sandan, everything happens within the kata. Heian, Shodan, everything happens in the kata for your ki points. Heian, Nidan, the last ki point is the last technique of the kata. Don't forget it. Okay? It is important if you're doing an exam especially, or a competition, that this last agi-uke, right, where you're driven down for this gedan, ki point is right there. Don't forget that ki point. All right? So I've given you a couple of things that you can think about and work on here. Let's go through the kata one more time. Do it the best you can, thinking about those little nuanced items that I've added to how you should be doing the kata. I'm not going to go from there because I don't have room. I don't want to kick over the wall. Let's go through again from here. Ready? Yoidachi. Subirachi. Ready? Yoi. Heian, Nidan. And Hajime. And Yame, very good. All right, great class today, right? Taking you through the basic katas. We've gone through our Takioku, our Kihon katas. And we've gone through our first two katas, Heian Shodan and Heian Nidan. Again, perfect for beginners from white belt up to orange belt to come back to, and again, get in some good kata repetition. All right, let's come back to the center of the class. Yoi. Musubidachi. Right. Yoi. Seiza. All right, today's meditation, I want you to go through any one of the kata that we've gone through today, any of the Takioku katas, any of the Heian katas. Go through it in your mind, do it the best you can. Remember to transfer your weight and don't telegraph with that front foot. Mokuso. Mokuso Yame, Sensei Yuri, Tate, Yoi, Subirachi, Re, Yoi, Os. Thank you, students, for joining me for this class. Again, this is a great class from our white belts, my yellow belts, my orange belts to come back to, getting some great practice, okay, on these traditional katas and these Kihon katas. Right, if you're not already one of my students, if you're just a member at UNLV, or just a student at UNLV, and you'd like to earn some real rank, and you want to join our dojo, I'll put up the website address here. You can come and join the dojo and start earning some real rank with us. All right. Thank you again for joining me. We'll see you in the next class. Os.